Steven, I had the worst thing happen to me on the subway. Well, actually, not the worst thing, but anyway, I got out of the subway car and I got dripped on. I think I might have something now. I got dripped on in the face. I might be Spider-Man.
Steven, I was on my way to get my new driver's license renewed.
Yeah.
And I take the subway there, and it smells less bad in the morning, and there's less people just shooting up and taking shits in the corner than when I go at like 6 o'clock to go to the gym. But I have to take the L to get to the 8th Street, to get to 801 Arch, because that's where the renewal place is for the license. But when I get out of the subway car and I walk up the little stairs, a drop of water hit me from the ceiling in my cheek.
Was it urine?
No. Do you think I will die? Do you think I got something from that drop of water off that ceiling? Thankfully, it didn't go in my eyeball.
I think you're safe, but it's a little questionable.
I quickly wiped off my face like, Mrr. No, you know what pisses me off on the L?
No pun intended.
What's this thing of, hey, I want to listen to my shitty rap music with a little boombox in my pocket so everybody in the car can hear real shitty, you know, I'm going to pin down to the corner, and then on the corner, I'm going to bend your bitch over and slap her in the face, and then I'm going to take my slong and I'm going to put it long down the thong.
Dude, stop. We might get hit for copyright infringement. You're playing the song.
Well, that was the new song.
You can't play the actual recording.
Excuse me, Steven. Stop interrupting my amazing rap career. I'm gonna be rapper.
It's the blasting of music and the talking on the smartphone on speaker. I can't stand either. Or just blasting the music in your car too. It's like nobody cares.
The speaker thing is why are you on FaceTime?
That too.
Like, why are you on FaceTime and holding the bottom of your phone out like an idiot?
As if FaceTime's the only way to get speaker mode on your phone.
You know, it's a specific type of person. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I'm just going to say that. I said it. Yes. It's every time. I haven't seen, I'm not going to say it, but it's just like, why do you feel the need to have this really shitty rap that you can't even rap to? Like everybody gives a shit about listening to it. And then you have the guy who doesn't have headphones holding it up and being like, yeah, Jamal. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, yo, what if I just started playing like YMCA or something?
Nah, it'd probably be like Modest Yahoo.
Yiggy, yiggy, yo! Yiggy, yo, yo! Yeah, what if I just...
We're filling all the stereotypes right now.
What if I just brought Modest down onto the train and be like, Modest, hey, if someone's going to do rap, why don't you start beatboxing and then be like, some days I lay under the moon, I wonder if I am dreaming. Save the light, will leave me soon.
Stop playing the music.
In my dream, and I'm never gonna let me down. When the negativity abound, I know something that'll all be the change, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. It's a really good song.
I know.
It's a really good song.
I've heard it 1,000,000 times at your place.
Happy Hanukkah. Speaking of Happy Hanukkah. No, I can't say Happy Hanukkah anymore.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. No, but so anyway, I go to the place. I have to get my new ID. There's this whole thing in this country about real ID, and I'm just too like, what is this bullshit? They've delayed it for like 7 years now, and now they're threatening that in May or March, May you said that real ID will take effect.
So how's your new fake ID?
Well, it's here. How's it look, Steven? She couldn't get my head to be straight, probably because they're like, your head's not straight. I'm like, you guys don't understand. My fucking head doesn't get straight. Like, this is just my head. I can't see straight.
I assume your head has to be a certain size in the frame because they completely cut off your hair.
Well, this is the old one.
You look the same. It looks exactly the same. You're smiling the same way.
But you see this little box in the bottom corner? I know you guys can't see this. You see how... So she's like, ooh, so what happened?
Organ donor.
I question that, whether they're going to kill me instead of trying to save me if I'm an organ donor.
I just think of the Superbad quote.
What did he say?
He's like staring at McLovin's ID, and they keep looking at him. They're like, I know he's not 21. They're like, oh, you're an organ donor.
Oh, man. So I get the picture taken, and then she's like, we need to do it again. You need to do something with your hair because in the bottom corner, it's coming up weird. I'm like, if it shows proper in the main ID photo and all you're doing is replacing that same photo in the thing smaller, but maybe that area like cuts out my hair, it's not going to work. And I'm not changing my hairstyle. Just like if I wear a hijab, headscarf or whatever, that you can wear your headscarf. This is my fucking hair.
I would think they would want your hair up like you would normally wear it, because I think you look like a totally different person with your hair down.
Yeah, well, some people say I look better. Some people say I look better.
Mean, they said it. What?
But I was one of the first people in there. I got to sit there. It took a little long for them to print it out. But the whole real ID thing still makes no sense to me. It's like, why can't, if I have a passport, you just give me a real ID? I've already gone through all of the checks.
So you still need to do the whole like 6 points of checks for a real ID, and you can't just be like, here's my passport that I had to do the same process for. That should override everything.
Yeah, so when I was listening to other people coming in, she's like, ID, two forms of where you live, address, birth certificate or social security card. It's like, Jesus Christ, isn't this what I went through with my passport? And if I have a passport, all I should need for real ID is my goddamn passport. And your driver's license should suffice with your passport.
100%. Yeah.
And so all it means for those who don't know is a real ID is going to be needed to fly in the United States. So no longer will they accept just your regular driver's license. They're going to make you have a real ID. Now, if you have a passport, your passport will work as well. But I just don't feel like so if I have to go back and do it, Stephen, I'll go back and do it. I just when I went to renew my card online, the process for doing the other thing was just like, you have to go here in order to sign up for here to fill out this in person to then get it verified. It's like, I don't want to do this. I have a fucking passport.
So in PA, can you not renew your license online?
You can renew it online to get the card, to get a photo card, which means you take this piece of paper that has your information on it, they scan it, and then you sit for your picture.
Oh, see, with New Jersey, I can just renew it online and use the same picture over and over again.
I did that during the pandemic, but they didn't let me do that this time, unless I missed that option. But anyway, I have my ID. I'm now official for another bunch of years, but I don't think I look much older.
I'm telling you, you look exactly the same. I don't know why they even took a new picture. Dude, side by side, it's the same picture. It's literally the same picture with a white balance tweak.
Oh, and I think that picture is actually like 8 or 9 years old because it's the one from the pandemic that it was redone prior. Well, that means I'm aging well.
I will say you look a little modest Yahoo in the one. Looks like you
Jewed it up?
Hit the reefer before you took that photo.
Oh, so yeah, I always look high in photos, but I'm not high. Anyway, Stephen, that's what I have to say about that. The other thing I wanted to say is you can no longer, when people come in and they're like, Happy New Year, I don't care that it's the first time you've seen me in the new year, but after a certain date, and I'm going to say January 7th, you can no longer say Happy New Year.
I could see the whole month of January if you haven't seen that person.
No, maybe 14 days at the most, 13. But anything...
Preferably, yes. I think the first week or two. But I'm not going to be like, oh, you can't say that.
I've said that a few times when people are like, Happy New Year. And I hear them like, no, I will not accept your Happy New Year. You can't do that.
You Larry Davided them.
Yeah, I Larry Davided them because I am literally Larry fucking David.
You are Jerry Seinfeld. You are Larry David. Yes.
What do you mean about Jerry? Anyway, the other one from him is like when he's at the yoga studio and the yoga teacher comes up and she's like, "Excuse me, Larry, I noticed that you didn't namaste with everybody." And, you know, it's really important that you namaste and so that your third eye can... He's like, my third eye, he's tapping his forehead where his third... He's like, what? How do you like this? She's like, don't do that to your third eye. He's like, I don't want to namaste. Isn't it my practice, my choice? You see? I never namasteyed. I never ohmed when I did yoga, which I refuse to do now. Screw that.
You are literally the same person.
Anyway, we got a show to talk about today. We filmed 2 massive scripted videos that we'll get to.
Oh, yeah.
Gary V, for those who know Gary V, put out an interesting video, one of them, of the 8 billion that he puts out. And I just wanted to discuss that with you, Steven, because I think it's important to talk about. Then you have new Sony firmware updates and also rumored firmwares coming for the R1 and the R5 Mark II, which we'll talk about in a second. Can I talk about one other thing that pisses me off, Steven?
I mean, isn't that every week?
Dental coverage.
Now what?
I'm going through the process of I got dropped from the other one because when you and Dan were no longer on
what?
No. Well, yes. Well, you and Dan were no longer on the same coverage, that I can't just be the only one on the dental coverage. And so there's another dental coverage, and it's like $720 a year for the platinum edition. And then I was just trying to figure out, does that make sense to do? Because you have to spend, it caps out at $3,000 max per year. But I was trying to figure out, does it make sense? And they're like, well, the cleaning out of pocket without insurance is $129 with basic x-rays and $240 with a full mouth x-ray. So you do that once a year, that's $240. Then the cleaning, that's what it includes. So I don't know, I do that like twice a year, but I don't get x-rays twice. I don't know. It's probably sort of worth maybe having, but it's such a debate, man, in this day and age.
I don't know. For you, I feel like it's probably just worth paying out of pocket. But it's one of those things that, if you do need to pay more, it's nice to have that insurance coverage.
If it's close. But the thing that really pisses me off about it's, I believe, MetLife, is that they have this thing where they now charge people $9 a month for a service fee for billing. They charge you to pay them. They charge you $9 per month to pay them. And I know someone's sitting out there and being like, you know what? Why don't you just pay it all at once and then only get billed once? I'm like, well, I did suggest that to them. And they're like, no, we're going to bill you $9 a month. You're not allowed to pay all up front because we have to charge you that $9 times 12 regardless. And I'm like, fuck you. That might be a reason I don't. That has to be illegal. That has to be some type of bullshit.
Is this strictly for billing as in like paper billing, or is this the entire system and process of billing that they've built?
It's
and that's what you're paying
processing
for.
That you're paying. Yes, you're paying $9 for them to collect your money, which is asinine fucking bullshit.
I agree.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. I wonder how the mouse's insurance is at Disney. It's really good.
Does he have
Who
teeth?
wants a rectal exam? What'd you say?
Does Mickey Mouse have teeth? I don't think he does.
If Minnie doesn't, she gives gummers.
Oh.
That's right. Minnie gives gummers. She's really good. I don't know. Google that. Does Mickey have... I'll Google that. Does...
We know Goofy has teeth, but
Mickey
I don't know.
Goofy, does Mickey Mouse have teeth? Yes, Mickey Mouse has teeth, according to AI Overview. Walt Disney created Mickey Mouse in 1928 to replace Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. In the first cartoon, plain crazy Mickey had a long nose, big eyes. Oh, was he Jewish? No shoes or gloves. So does Mickey Mouse have teeth? I still don't know the answer to that.
I don't know. I never see teeth.
Oh, shit. Oh, there's an AI-generated Mickey Mouse with teeth, and it's fucking scary.
Oh, I see the one you're talking about.
Oh, my God. Golly.
He looks really, really weird with teeth. Oh, my God. There's another one.
I can't do it, Steven.
I don't think he has teeth. I mean, he might be brushing his teeth in certain episodes, but you don't see any teeth ever.
Well, why would he brush his teeth then, Steven?
Oh, I see. The early on Mickey had teeth.
But then they fell out?
I don't know.
All right, let's move on to this Gary V thing. So Gary V, for those who don't know, has been around social media since social media has existed, and actually before it. He had a wine store with his father, and he decided to start putting content online in around 2006, 5, 6, 7 on YouTube, did a wine show every single day, took his wine store from $3 million to like $80 million in sales because he started utilizing this new thing called the internet and Twitter and Google AdWords instead of billboards, circulars, and everything else. So he then transitioned to social media years ago, wrote books about it, Crush It, and then Crushed It. I'm in Crushed It. There's an article on me in there. And then Nowadays, he ruined his YouTube channel by overdoing reels and shorts and putting out too much content that took him from getting hundreds of thousands of views per video to getting 7,000 on a new video. But he came out with a post recently that I thought made sense. And he says, I think that the social media world is coming to a close and we're transitioning to what he's calling interest-based media. Now, interest-based media, what he's saying is that if you're into photography and you look at a lot of photography videos, then you are going to get served more photography videos, and that is your interest. And so anybody today, whether you're Gary Vee with 10 million followers on Instagram or Joe Schmo with 3 followers on Instagram, you could reach 8 million people with that interest-based piece of content.
I mean, lightning never strikes the same place twice. Can you build a following that way? Can you build a brand that way?
That is the exact point that we need to discuss, because it makes sense that you can get 8 million the first time you put up an Instagram reel or a story or a TikTok. I meant a short or a TikTok. It makes sense. But the reason it makes sense is because TikTok, Instagram, and I don't know if Shorts does this because we haven't done enough of it, is that those systems are designed to juice one of your first couple of posts.
Shorts definitely does.
Yeah, you saw it.
Look at our first short. It has over 1 million views. And then everything else following that had barely broke 50,000.
So what happens is it juices it to people that you don't know to make it seem, it just shows it to people. And there's so many times I get stories, you're like, why am I seeing someone with 4 followers?
Yeah.
But the whole reason is they're just getting these people hooked on content or hooked on the idea that they reach somebody and there's a possibility they could be a social media influencer.
And don't get me wrong, I think it is possible to become a quote-unquote influencer by just posting that first reel. As long as you follow up with it with constant content, like we've always said, quality content, you can obviously still build a following. But I think people assume, oh, my first reel, TikTok, short, whatever you want to call them, blew up. I'm all of a sudden going to be Insta famous or TikTok famous. Not anymore in the US, apparently. It's still possible, but at the end of the day, it's most likely not happening.
But you start to get discouraged because your next 5 end up getting 300.
Yeah.
And it just and it hurts. So I understand this interest-based thing where TikTok is serving people, and we live in a world where people are getting served new things. And even with Instagram, with their test reels, I saw Adam Mosseri put out a test reel video because someone was like, when I decide to put it public or onto my profile after it was a test, does it wipe out all of the views? And he's like, well, no, it doesn't wipe out the views, which makes sense. But I did leave a comment actually on his thing. And I'm like, see, this is test reels are perpetuating this idea that all you guys care about is stuff going viral and not the person making the content. Because what a test reel is, the whole point of a test reel is it shows it to people who aren't your followers. Now, in theory, that could be good for finding new users. But in reality, it's really only meant for Instagram to say, oh, this thing is popular. We need to let people test it so that we can see what's going to take off to then juice it so we make more money. We don't care about the people.
It's not a good gauge, though, for your particular audience. If say, you're a photography-focused audience like our audience, obviously, if you put something out there to the masses, it's not going to blow up if it's a photography-related piece of content. But to our little niche audience, it might do really well because obviously they want to see that type of content. But to the outside world, they might just be, oh, swipe up, swipe left, swipe right, whatever. I don't care about this. And it's not going to be a good gauge of what's popular or not, again, for your particular audience.
Right. But it's also possible that maybe it's interest-based and people that are interested in photography might end up getting served that and they may not follow you. But my whole thing with Gary is like, you got to try a little bit of everything and you got to stay focused on your brand, your fans, your followers that you're turning into friends. That is the point. You want to be able to have your own set of followers that you're not just relying on interest-based everything. That's what happens on TikTok is you can get 3 million views and then the next one you put out gets 800. And you're sitting and those people who might have found it interesting, even if they hit the follow button, aren't getting your content again. So I still think people have the wrong mentality that it's all about capturing lightning in the bottle opposed to doing the groundwork and starting to build a following. I'll give you a case in point, Stephen. Case in point, 3 blind men and an elephant. Our good friend Hugh Blackstone.
Brownstone.
Brownstone? Not Brownstone. Wait, Brownstone?
Brownstone, yes.
Oh, I thought it was Blackstone. I got it close. I never really got into his. Do you know there was a guy named Blackstone, I think, who was a magician? Can you Google that? Was Blackstone a magician? Because we used to go to this place in the Round, theater in the Round. It was the Valley Forge Music Fair.
Harry Blackstone Jr.
Is he old looking? Is he dead?
He's an American stage magician that died in 1997.
Right. How old was he?
He was 80 years old.
Oh, wow. He was young. So I got to see Blackstone as a kid. I don't know. So that's why I said Blackstone, because I was a kid. We used to see it. I got to go on stage to be part of his magic trick, and he made my penis disappear. I was like, whoa.
Oh, wait. Actually, there's Harry Blackstone Sr. and Harry Blackstone Jr. Senior died in 1965. Junior died in 1997. So you must have.
Well, which one did I see then?
Harry Blackstone Jr.
No, are you sure that it wasn't Senior?
You weren't alive for Senior. He died in 1965.
Are you sure?
Let me do the math. Hold on. Wait. 1, 2, and minus the 5.
Yeah, the funny thing is, Stephen, you want to know the funny thing about 1965? It was only less than 20 years before I was born. Like, that's the crazy shit at this point.
The crazy thing is that when I think of 20, 30 years ago, I think of 1980. But in reality, it was late 90s.
20 years ago is 2005.
Yeah, I said 20, 30 years ago.
Speaking of crazy things, and I'll get back to Brownstone in a second, the niche thing. I went out the other night because I like to go talk to this guy named Gump. He's a doorman at all the bars. No. His name's Gump, and I call him Gumpy McGumperston. But I hang out there just outside the bar. He has a cocktail bar, and I just talk. But there were these young women that were like, hey, we have a photo of you sitting out front of here in the summer with our friend. I was like, cool, let's see it. And I'm like, yep, that's me, but they're like, oh, you should come talk to us. So I went and I sat with them, and they're like 24, and they're just talking about dumb shit. And they're like talking about, like, I like this guy. I give him sex and it's really not that good, but I don't really like him, but he won't come out tonight. It's just being a loser. I'm like, but I thought you said you don't like him. I mean, maybe I caught some feelings, but really it's just like, he's just like, he doesn't want to come out. I'm like, honestly, did you ever think that if you're giving him sex and he's saying that he doesn't want to go out with you, or he's not coming out and he wants to sit home and play video games, he's not interested in you.
You think?
Yeah. I'm like, and so we're sitting there, and like 30 minutes later, she gets a text from the guy because she must have said something. And he's like, hey, part of the reason that I've been hesitant to come out is I did go out with someone else. Now they weren't going out. And he's just like, I went out with someone else and I wasn't sure how that was going to be. And she starts to like cry, and that was my cue to leave.
Did you ask her, what are these droplets coming from your eyes? I've never seen them before.
Are these happy tears or sad tears? Or happy tissues, sad tissues. And they're like, yeah, forget him. He's an asshole. I'm like, guys, see, why is the guy the asshole for being honest with you and telling you up front that he saw someone else and he doesn't want to see you? Why all of a sudden is a guy the asshole for telling you, like, fuck you? I just get very upset about that stuff. But then I tried to leave. In the next booth, this woman grabs my arm. She was a black woman, to compliment my ass.
Oh.
She grabbed my arm and was like, excuse me, I noticed your ass. I was like, really? This one right here? So my ass preceded me to talking to her and her friend. So I sat for like an hour and a half talking with those two. And that was a lot more fun than talking to 24-year-olds because they were like 40. So that was a hell of a lot better. And then I went home alone because that's what I wanted to do.
How did we get here? What were we talking about?
Blackstone, 20 years ago.
Hugh
the difference
Brownstone.
between 65. Yeah, so Hugh Brownstone. Sorry guys for that side note on
squirrel.
I'm not actually sorry. It's just that 24-year-olds, they might be hot, but they're too hot to go. HOTTOGO. You cannot fling me.
That song is so 2024.
It is like you don't even hear it anymore, thankfully. So the reason I brought up Hugh Brownstone as a case in point about the Gary Vee thing and building a following is Hugh has a niche. Hugh is a white gentleman who's retired who gets into I'm Hugh Brownstone.
Hold that thought.
Today, we're looking at the Leica S3S.
Hold that thought.
Exquisite. And it's just he talks really slow. So even if you 2x speed his videos, they're still slow. But he has over 100 and some thousand followers on YouTube now, which I think is more valuable than Instagram. And he goes to these trips. He gets invited to trips. He gets gear because he has a specific niche of older white photographers that follow him, generally older 50, 60, 70-year-old people. And those people spend money. So if he does a clinic, he can have a clinic and then these people can afford to go to it, like a clinic or whatever in New York. And it's just showing you that you don't need the 8 billion followers. You could have 1,000 followers and that if you engage with them and you have 1,000 true followers, you can make a living off of that. You really can.
That's the key word is engagement. Are they actually engaging subscribers, followers? Or are they just simply passing your videos over and over again,
just
even
swiping.
though they're a subscriber? Yeah.
Right. I think Gary has gotten into the world of it only matters like how many people I reached every single time. And it needs to stop.
That's also why we've always said subscriber count really doesn't matter for the most part. It's more view count for each video, just because, we have, for example, 1.5 million subscribers almost at this point, yet we don't get 1.5 million views every single video.
No, it's difficult, and a lot has changed with YouTube over the years, and I've seen a lot of other channels that have views that have dropped. It's an evolution, right?
And it's significantly harder to gain subscribers this day and age.
It is because they actually, it was weird. I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and when the person said, hit the subscribe button lit up.
I told you about this.
Underneath the video. You did?
Yeah, so if you mention subscribe, both on the mobile app and on now desktop, I believe, it literally lights up.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I think it became a thing a few months ago, but it's really interesting. And that's why I think we should say subscribe more often. We never say it.
Yeah. Well, what it should do is it should pop up in the middle of the video and be like, click here to subscribe. So they make it easier.
Yeah.
That would be much better for us.
Agreed.
But anyway, that was the whole thing with the Gary Vee stuff is that, he throws a lot of stuff out. He's like, we're in the world of organic social now. He talked about organic social with his new book, which I won't read, but organic social is the new thing. What that meant was making content that your followers, that is real. Like that's what that's what I've been doing all along.
Yeah.
So it just seems like it's a retread of the same common sense shit, but he has to come up with new terms every time he decides to put out a new book. And so that's why, to me, organic social, just consistent quality content where you're real. You're not fake. You're not sitting in a cupboard saying you've been sitting there for an hour and then all of a sudden you made a video about it. No, it's real. It's real, Steven. So let's jump gears and shift gears to the new Sony firmware. Basically, Sony did something that people always accuse Sony of never doing, which is putting out firmware updates for their cameras.
Not like it was a significant update, though, for all the cameras that they actually updated.
You mean they didn't call it 5.0 like the Nikon?
I think they did, though, didn't they?
No, they just updated the A1, the A1 II, and the A9 III's firmware. And that's what they did. But what they did is they took things that were in the A1 II and put them into the A1. And then what they did is also put some things that were not in the A9 III and updated that so that you could now shoot in the A9 III, all shutter speeds, can shoot at all apertures. So 1/80,000th of a second is now capable at a high at all the apertures.
Where before it was 1.8 and above, you could shoot 1/80,000th. But I believe anything below that, if you're shooting wide open at like 1.2 or 1.4, I think you were limited to 1/16,000th of a second, if I recall.
Something like that.
But yeah, this is saying version 3.0 for the A9 Mark III.
Already?
Yeah. And then it's version 2.0 for the A1 II.
Already?
Yeah.
I don't recommend anybody updating these yet. I said that in the Photo News Fix. You might want to hold off a week or two, especially if your cameras are perfectly fine and you don't need anything that they're saying that they have. Wait to see if the firmware actually works and doesn't get pulled from the market.
And I know the A1 now has focus bracketing and updated exposure bracketing settings. The focus bracketing was a big thing. I remember when the A1 II came out, a lot of users specifically asked for that feature. I don't personally use it, but I guess a lot of people do.
Yeah, I don't know that feature as well either.
I mean, it would be good for your macro work that you've been doing recently with the microscopes.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, because it doesn't have any focusing.
Doesn't have any focus motors.
True,
So
you'd have to manually stack that and everything.
yeah, it would literally need to be
You'd have to have an automated rail of some sort.
An automated
moving,
rail that
yeah.
would move a fraction, and take a picture automatically.
Yeah.
That would be the only way to do it, but it would have to be micro fractions.
Oh, yeah.
Because micro fractions.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm Mike Rowe, and today on Deadliest Catch, the Cornelia Marie gets lost in a storm, and somebody goes over and smokes a cigarette.
So the other thing with the Sony update, didn't they also add more support for their new authenticity solution, whatever it's called?
The C2PA or whatever they're calling it.
The Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity.
It's provenance, Stephen. Provenance.
You sure about that?
Yeah, also known as C2PA.
A.
A. Dip, dodge, duck, dive, dodge. I don't fully understand it. I don't fully understand how it works. I wish someone would make an explainer video about it, because then it would make more sense. Like, how can you not change it? And what are they considering the original? And if someone tweaks the JPEG file, is that a problem? And it's like, how is it embedded in the image if you go ahead and export it as a JPEG after you're done editing it, and you could screen grab it and get rid of it? There's so many things you could do.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if you get rid of it. I guess the news agencies are making sure that you have it in the first place.
How does C2PA work? Let's see. CPA2 Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity works by attaching a digital nutrition label called a CP2A manifest to digital media like images and videos, which stores information about the content's origin, creation process, and any edits made throughout its life cycle. It sounds like NFTs to me. It sounds like the blockchain, allowing users to verify the authenticity of the content and identify potential manipulations through a cryptographic system. Yeah, there it is. Cryptography, the system that binds provenance data to the asset itself, essentially providing a chain of custody for digital media. That still didn't explain how it works.
So will this be in like a new wrapper of some sort? Like if you're submitting a JPEG, well, then it'd have to have this information attached to that? Or is it just simply embedded in the metadata in this particular JPEG, which I feel like you could change though, but I don't know how it works.
Let's see. We're creating a secure end-to-end system for digital content provenance with open source tools and cross-industry community of adoption. Our work is fully compliant with the technical specifications released in 2002. Let's see. Creation. Show supporting AI tools, software, digital cameras, and other devices using content creation. I don't know, Stephen. Leica is involved. Nikon's involved. Qualcomm's involved. Proof mode is involved.
And apparently Canon is going to be involved in the near future, according to Canon rumors. But it looks like this will be the new norm when it comes to...
Norm!
when it comes to photojournalism.
No, is that too deep of a pull, Stephen? Cheers?
It's been a minute since I've watched that show.
Do you know in the first episode of Cheers, they bring out a gay person and they talk about gay people in the first episode?
I did not know that.
You can go back and watch Cheers, and it is incredible, that show. Not one cell phone around. Not one cell phone around. Speaking of gay, I forgot to bring this up earlier, Guy. I did go to the car show the other day. They had a gala where you dress up.
A gala.
It's a gala. They have a gala, and I don't know, it's a black tie affair, which I don't own a black tie or anything. So I wore...
Wait, for a car show?
Well, it's a gala to raise funds for CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And so it's a reason for people to dress up. And some people dress up to the nines, and I'm like, I don't understand this. I was just going to wear what I normally wear, but instead I put on a pair of blue slacks and a very rainbow color Robert Graham button-down shirt because I only have rainbowy shit.
I was going to say, do you even have like an actual black tie, a suit of any sort at this point?
No. Do you think they were stopping me from going in, Steven?
I mean, if you look how you normally look, I'd probably stop you.
No, they didn't stop me. But my buddy Troy was there because of the movie cars. And then we went over. I was like, we got to go see a Subaru. So we go over to the Subaru. We're looking at an Outback. And one of the photographers at the event is like, hey, can we get a photo of you guys? So I'm sitting in the car. My head's out the window. My arm's out the window. And we're holding hands in the photo. just to match the aesthetic of the you gotta fit in. If you're gonna do Subaru, you gotta hold hands and arms. So that will probably end up being an advertisement at the Subaru dealership. Could you imagine me?
I mean, you look the part, right? What?
Yeah, whatever. Somebody, some guy person will come up and be like, they're not really guy. They were doing this to make fun of us. They're not making fun of you. Not making fun of you. The stereotypes are correct about Subarus because they chose to go that direction and they make a shit ton of money off of it. Anyway, let's bring it back to the content authenticity thing. The rumors are, there's also rumors that Canon will be putting out major firmware for the R1 and R5 Mark II sometime in February around the time of CP Plus, which happens at the end of February. There wasn't much information on what they might add other than the C2PA thing.
Yeah, they just simply said that they were told that they were going to be significant changes specifically to the R1 and R5 Mark II. Now, we've seen this before. I feel like them saying, it's going to be a major firmware update and it's a minor bug fix type update. We'll see. I do feel like it is time for a major firmware update coming 6 months later because there are a lot of things, simple tweaks in my opinion, that should be fixed. But they did say specifically that the authenticity system will be implemented into the R1 because apparently the hardware is already there. I don't know about the R5 Mark II, but the R1 will have it. And then I'm curious, will the R3 then get a firmware update down the road with this authenticity system as well?
I don't know about that, but I'm hoping that they update the pre-capture stuff, firmwares. Maybe they might add some more ball sports in there. I don't know what other ball sports they could add, but they might add that for the priority focus.
Man, imagine if they added something like squash or racquetball or pickleball, like ball sports that are just going insanely back and forth, tennis.
Well, they did that with volleyball. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's really only necessary for team sports. It's not necessary to track someone when it comes to tennis because they're just on their side of the court.
It happens so fast, you can't even move the camera fast enough for it to really track anyway.
Well, that's the thing with volleyball.
Exactly.
With volleyball, you're picking a subject because you can't move to track a ball. So volleyball was just a stupid pick for them. Just a real stupid pick because you're usually shooting tighter because if you shoot wide, it doesn't really matter.
I'm assuming the ball has to be a big enough ball because we've already seen soccer and volleyball. They're about the same size. And then what's the other ball sport?
And basketball.
Basketball, yeah. So they're basically all the same size. So I doubt they can go smaller than that. Football, but that's probably hard to really...
Well, football, because no one has the ball.
It's hard to see the ball half the time, I guess.
And hockey, just better...
Too small.
Tracking. Just give us more control, even though they got rid of most of the control recently.
But like you said, I want them to now be able to map out pre-continuous shooting to a custom button, give us custom pre-capture times in general, like Sony does. They go all the way down to 5/1000ths of a second in the A9 III, all the way
Which
up to
still makes no sense
second.
for pre-capture. I don't understand what you get with 1/5000th of a second pre-capture.
Yeah.
I don't even think that gives you one frame, like an extra frame.
It should give you one extra frame if you're shooting at full 120 frames per second. If you go all the way down to that 0.005 number, 5/1000ths of a second. I want longer pre-capture times if you're changing frame rates. If you go down to, say, from 40 frames per second in the R1 to 20, you should be able to then have 1 full second of pre-capture, not just still half a second. Because technically your buffer is not filling as much. Why can't you give us longer pre-capture times at that point?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm also hoping they adjust the overheating warning on the R5 Mark II. I feel like it comes up way too quickly if it's not even close to overheating. It gives you that now like 10 bar system. And then when it gets to that 10th white bar, it starts to basically go to yellow and red saying it's completely overheated and will shut down. But I think it's coming up way too, like we've noticed it yesterday when we were filming with the R1 and R5 Mark II real world reviews. We went for over an hour each, but I would say after 20 minutes, that bar already started coming up, which it scared me thinking that I was going to overheat, but it was fine. I just think it needs to wait a little longer until that warning comes up.
Well, if that one's fine and it has the vents and we're still using R5s in the studio and they're fine without bringing up any warnings, then they should be exactly the same.
But that's my point, is the R5 didn't have a warning, so I wasn't worried about that. But I'm sure the internal temperature was still just as hot as the R5 Mark II, but the R5 Mark II warning comes up way too soon, which then scares me thinking, oh my God, it's going to overheat. I've got limited time at this point. I think it needs to wait a little longer until it actually really gets warm and hot. Also, I think they need to bring back some features from the R3, like that 195 frames per second mode. Let's make that even better and put that back in the R1. Let's go back to the actual true pixel shift mode from the R5. Bring that back, the 400 megapixel mode in the R5 Mark II, but RAW, not JPEG only. Let's go nuts and give us 4K 60 oversampled in the R5 Mark II. I want actual real firmware updates like the Z8 and Z9 are getting. I want those major video updates, major other feature updates. Instead of this, hey, here's one little small new feature like Sony's been doing.
I still feel like, what else are you going to add to the system at that point? Like, they're already good.
Give us like oversampled, lossless, compressed RAW files on the R5 Mark II, like they have with the A12 and the A7 R5. I would love all of these features that these other competitor cameras have. I want them in the R5 Mark II now.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see what they come out with. I still have no idea what they're bringing in 2025. But maybe they'll bring the boom right to your face. We bring the boom. That's what we do. So are you done with that topic? Do you want me to move on to something?
I think you're good. Yeah.
Here's a topic that I didn't put on our thing that was just brought up to me. There will be a new White House photographer, by the way.
Of course.
And I have some information on this new White House photographer who also just posted, I guess, the new official portraits.
Who was the last photographer in the Trump campaign? Was it Sheila, right?
Sheila Cragshead, yeah, but she was the photographer for him, and then she fucked him. Sorry, he fucked her out of
Not
making
literally.
her book. No, well, that we know of, allegedly. But she wanted to put out a photo book, like Pete Souza put out a photo book and other people put out a photo book. And when she went to do it, Trump decided to put out his own photo book to supersede hers so that she doesn't make any money off of it. Now, she doesn't own the rights to the images. We own the rights to the images. The United States citizens, the government owns it because they paid, our tax money paid for this. But generally speaking, you leave office, you put a book together, you get a publisher, you use these images that are free to be used, and then you put your information, your stories, and you sell the book. Well, Trump superseded her and decided to sell his own book, which meant that she couldn't sell her own book at that point because it took her out of the running, which is unfortunate. So they've gone through a lot of photographers over there. Do you have any idea what the new photographer shoots with? What brand?
I'm going to say your favorite brand, Nikon.
Yeah, they shoot Nikon.
Z9, I assume?
I think it's a Z9 at this point.
Okay.
You know, you could do the job with anything. I personally think that's the wrong choice, as you know. That I personally think that's the wrong choice myself.
You don't say.
The photographer's name is Daniel Torok, chief photographer, President-elect Donald J. Trump.
This has been confirmed.
Well, yeah, this is his photographer now. He joined a little bit during the campaign, I believe after the shooting.
Did you see that the official portraits just got released?
I did. That's why I'm bringing this up. The official portraits look maniacal.
Why does Vance look like an AI-generated Vance?
Look at his eyes. Are his eyes is he a White Walker?
That's what I'm saying. And why does Trump look like he's going to take over the entire world?
It's a maniacal fucking portrait. The first portrait of Donald Trump from the first thing, the guy's got the greatest smile in the world. When that guy smiles, it lights up the fucking room. When he talks, it's a different story. But when he smiles, like his first photo was like, wow, he looks really good. But this is a maniacal portrait.
Were these taken by this Daniel photographer, the new White House photographer?
He just posted it on his Instagram.
So if you look at the catch light, they're being lit from below, which makes no sense.
No, it's a very evil, regardless of who's in the photo, it's an evil lighting set to make it look like a dictator. Now, JD Vance is so the reason you have to light JD Vance a certain way is his eyes are so far set back in his head that if you did the light above, they would create shadows from his eye sockets on his eyes.
Yeah, but you could still have a little kicker in the front, lighting his eyes up.
But he looks, he looks
like a White Walker.
He looks like a White Walker.
I mean, the Trump one, I do think that's a good photo. Don't get me wrong. But like you said, I think he looks completely maniacal, where Vance is smiling in his, and then he has that White Walker look with the eyes just look so off. I'm very surprised that they approved.
I mean, he approved it himself. DJT doesn't let shit out there that he doesn't want out there. He has to have final approval on everything.
I mean, the Trump one makes sense. I could see Trump totally approving that one. And it's a good photo, don't get me wrong. I think it's actually much better than the original portrait that he did back in 2016.
Which was done with a 1D3 at the time.
So it's time to do another critique video.
No, I don't think it's worth. Fine.
No,
I guess I might as well.
I think you need to.
I guess I'll do it today, Steven.
I think you should.
I mean, let's critique the new I'll verify that this is the new portrait because I think it is.
I'm looking at NBC right now, and it's saying Trump Vance official portraits released. So I would say it's pretty official.
Then I'll make it today, and we'll put it out today, Steven.
Can you see the metadata? Is the full metadata on Flickr or
someone sent it to me? Well, someone sent it to me and told me the settings. Morning, Jared. I know you always make a video with the presidential portrait.
See, we have to do it.
Said Nikon Z9 with an 8512. Oh, Daniel Turok. He replied. Why don't I just send this guy a message? Why don't I just send the photographer a message and ask him?
See, I'm looking back now at Biden and Kamala's official portrait. I think those look great from 2020. I think that is exactly what a presidential portrait should look like.
I did that whole video where I went through everybody's portraits.
You went back to Clinton, I think, yeah.
No, I went even further back.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Oh, God. I went all the way back to the first ones that I could find. So are we looking at the Biden one in front of the flag or the Biden one?
The one in front of the flag.
Well, with the picture in the background?
No.
Yeah, no, I see it. I see it with Harris next to him. Yeah, they're just lit. That was done by his photographer. What was his name? Well, it says photo credit the White House, but I forget what the current White House photographer's name is. I mean, look, Biden has a great smile. Kamala looks fine here.
Yeah.
I think Trump has the ultimate smile. Every time he's like, when you see a photo of him smiling, you're like, oh, okay, this is a nice old man.
I mean, Trump's official portrait from before looks decent. Smiling wise, he's smiling.
Trump presidential portrait. Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump recreates mugshot scowl in new inaugural portrait.
Oh, is that what he's going for?
It's the same exact look if you put them side by side.
Wow.
It's the same look side by side. But maybe that's just his look. I mean, maybe that's just what he does.
I mean, again, I think his portrait actually looks good. It's a little odd for it being a presidential portrait, but from a photographic standpoint, I think it's a good photo, even though it was lit from under, where Vance just looks freaking weird, man.
There's a lot of news here, like when you click on this, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was dictator. When I saw it, it looks like a dictator portrait, just the way that it's lit from underneath.
100%. Yep.
So I guess, Steven, I'll be making that video next when we finish with photo news. When I finish my lunch, I'll make it, and then we can get it edited. So that is the official portrait discussion because that happened today, and the new photographer's name is, as I said, is Daniel Turok. He'll have all access basically. First look at official portrait. I'm looking at his stories right now. Wow, and he's like, how it literally is. The official photographer shared. The official photographer on Instagram shared the mugshot next to his portrait.
Oh,
how it started, how it's going. I don't understand why he would share that.
I'm sure Trump probably specifically stated, I want it to look like the mugshot.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Donald J. Trump Jr. 47 official portrait revealed.
Where's the full res? We got to find the full res with the metadata.
Well, we'll see.
See if he gets back to you.
No, he's not going to get back to me. I can't send him a message because he doesn't follow me. Instagram must have done something for that, because usually you can send the first message unless someone changes something. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know if we'll get the same settings, but he said officially himself that it's a Z9 and an 8512. I don't have X anymore, so I can't send him a message on X.
Again, the image itself looks good. I think it looks way better than the previous official portrait from Trump.
Which was not lit at all.
Did not lit at all. And remember the magenta shift and everything, the color was all off. And he had
an old camera.
The White House projected like behind him. It was
it was on a TV.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll make a video about that, just giving my thoughts on the two portraits. Maybe I'll bring up some of the older portraits just for comparison again, and just do critiquing the new Donald Trump official presidential portrait 2.0.
Yeah.
I guess. Why not? Might as well. So that's pretty much it for this week's episode. There is a lot of work for us to get done. We filmed 2 long-ass real-world reviews, 6-month later reviews, R1 and R5 Mark II. They're going to be probably 40-minute long reviews where we actually use the camera and give feedback after we do the initial hands-on.
That R1 real-world review took us close to an hour to record, to film, and you kind of blew through it too. So I don't think there's going to be much cutting down for that one, but probably in the end it'll be about 40 minutes long, or close to it.
Like, I get having 15-minute long videos. I get it. But you can only do so much in a 15-minute long video, and people who are spending $6,000 or more to buy a camera, or, $40-some $100, I think they deserve to actually see results, and someone that took the time to. These videos take so much time to produce. They do. They take a long time to produce. I had to write the scripts. We got to film the scripts. We've got to edit it. Steven and Dan have to pull all the footage. You're
basically referencing the past 6 months of shooting with each camera, and we're pulling everything you're talking about from multiple videos, probably over, 15 videos from the past 6 months. Whether it's sensor review, the autofocus comparison, the initial previews, the initial hands-on, we're pulling everything from those videos, and it just takes a very long time to finalize a video like that. But it's well worth it in the end. I just hope the original real-world reviews 1 year later, 6 months later, whatever, those scripted videos were always around 15 minutes long, maybe 20 at most, and this one will probably be double, and I hope that doesn't throw people off and make them not watch it.
The other thing I realize about my content, or our content, is that a lot of pros they've told me that they turn to our videos of these professional cameras to make their buying decisions, because they know that we actually go out and use them in real world situations. And they find that it's very valuable that we hit on things that most people don't, because we know what it is like to be a pro out there shooting.
Yeah, I just also think we should really focus on a lot of beginner type cameras as well, a lot of enthusiast cameras, because lately we've been only really dealing with flagships or, $4,000 plus cameras.
Well, nothing's come out recently.
Z50 Mark II.
We did
one video on it.
Yeah, I don't have the camera, right? We had to send that back.
We still need to do a user guide on the Z6 III. A lot of the budget-friendly lenses we have to catch up on. We've been really dealing with more of the pro-end lenses. So I just think we need to get back to our roots, too, with a lot of beginner-type content.
Yeah, we do. Okay, let's wrap this up, guys. This is 135. If you want to listen, you should listen. You already listened. You better have listened if you got this far, right?
Yeah.
Right, Steven?
I hope.
Anyway, we're going to leave it from there. I'm going to go prep my lunch, go get lunch, and then film this video so that we can get it out into the world and react. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Jared Polin, Fronos Photo, or thanks for listening.com. See ya.
Bye.